Get your paper, get the latest news. Dervish is defeated. Savage battle in the Sudan. Dervish is defeated. Victory of Majuka. Get your paper here. Get the latest news. Savage battle in the Sudan. Latest dispatch just received.
Here we go, red hot and flaming chestnut fingers. Baskervilles will work wonders for you. Don't stand around. I'm not going to be here all night long, there, Luckett. Thank you very much. All right. They're lovely. Let's have you stick. Magazines to all the top of their own.
Number 221B, Baker Street. My name is Dr. John H. Watson, and in the year 1889, I was sharing this flat with Sherlock Holmes. I also shared, to some extent, in many of Holmes' cases. One in particular, which was the most blood-chilling and awesome of all, had its inception with a walking stick left behind by an unknown visitor. It concerns what I have chosen to call the curse of the Hound of the Baskervilles. According to a rare manuscript, the curse was first visited upon Sir Hugo Baskerville over 100 years ago, in the year of grace 1762.
Dress her in silk from the skin out. I paid your father hard coin, and by God, I'll have what I paid for.
Let me go! Let me go!
Make sure you wash the coal dust from her skin.
Let me go!
Gentlemen, you're beaten, Mordell, you're beaten.
$10 on the black. Satan. Gone black. Gone black.
My lord?
Well, where is she?
I don't know, sir. She was locked in the North Tower room to dress, but when we called, she didn't answer. And the door's locked.
What's wrong with the dogs? Why don't they go on?
They fear some unnatural evil.
Evil be damned. I fear nothing that is not of blood and bone.
Sir Hugo, beware!
What do you make of this, Watson?
What? I say, Holmes, sometimes it seems to me you really have got eyes in the back of your head.
No, but I do happen to have a highly polished silver tea set. Well, have you reached any conclusions about our unknown visitor?
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. Well, to begin with, of course, we know his name and occupation here on the plaque. To Dr. James Mortimer, from his friends of the CCH 1884. I would think him to be elderly. You can tell by the wear on the tip that it is a stick for use, not show, and measurably successful and esteemed. Friends of the CCH would mean the something or other Hunt, I would think, and, oh yes, and a country practitioner.
On what do you base your last deduction?
What, that he lives in the country, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look here, these marks on the stick. Obviously made by rough use in the countryside. Besides, none of your city medical chaps these days are given over to walking as much as this stick indicates.
Very good, Watson. The train of logic, I mean. I'm afraid the facts are mostly wrong.
Huh?
No, it's more likely that a presentation to a doctor would come from a hospital rather than a hunt club, in which case the CCH would very likely stand for Charing Cross Hospital. Now, if he were a member of the senior staff, it would be certainly noted on the plaque. So we mistake it that he was a junior resident and therefore relatively young. 30, I would think, married, very likely childless given his obvious devotion to his dog.
Hmm? What dog?
A terrier, I should think. Yes, the marks you saw were made by the dog's teeth, the width of the jaw indicating to be a small dog, while the indentations of the upper incisors have the sort of shallow grooving peculiar to a certain type of terrier.
Oh, really?
But I would think that the medical registry would probably give us more particular facts about Dr. Mortimer.
Yes, right? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Mortimer James L., MRCS, College of Surgeons, London, served as junior resident at,
Yes, Watson?
Charing Cross Hospital. 1882, 1884, author of Neolithic Cranial Differentiations, Lancet, 1882, presently serving as the medical officer, parish of Grimpen, Dartmoor, Devon. Well, I do consider Devon country.
Indeed, Watson. Well, I think we shall just have time if we wish to return Dr. Mortimer his stick. Shall we go, Watson?
Yes, of course. Where?
Why, to the Royal Museum of Natural History, of course. Well, here we are, Watson. Thank you.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Come on, Watson.
You know, Holmes, you've not yet told me why you expect to find our Dr. Mortimer here. Huh?
There was a notice of this lecture in the Times this morning, and I should be surprised indeed if the author of Neolithic Cranial Differentiations would miss such an opportunity on a chance visit to the city.
Yes, but how exactly shall we know which of them is Dr. Mortimer?
Well, that shouldn't be too difficult. Dr. Mortimer.
Yeah.
I believe you left this behind at my flat.
Oh, thank you. How could you... Mr. Holmes, is it?
I presume you wish to consult me on some matter?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was on my way to find you just now.
Well, then why don't we discuss it over lunch at the Alexandria, if that's agreeable to you?
Of course.
Watson?
Certainly. Excuse me, but do you have a dog?
No.
Huh. No?
Well, not now. I had a terrier, but it died. Being unblessed with children, my wife and I were rather fond of it.
Yes, well,
Thank you.
Thank you. Ah, you must try one of these crème bourdaloue, Doctor.
No, none for me, thank you.
yeah, perhaps I will.
Well, you were referring to the presumed curse of the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yes, but you both seem quite familiar with the legend of the Hound.
Complete blather and nonsense. As a man of science, I'm sure you agree.
Oh, yes, of course. Except for the fact that from the death of Sir Hugo Baskerville in 1762 until now, no member of the line who lived in Baskerville Hall died from what could be said to be strictly natural causes. Or accidents, disappearances, drowning.
Oh, surely not all, Doctor. I seem to recall reading a few months ago the death of Sir Charles Baskerville from natural causes, heart failure.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it was I who found the body of Sir Charles. I was coming across the moor the following morning.
The more? Well, evidently Sir Charles didn't take the superstition of a ghostly hound seriously.
Quite to the contrary. That's what seems so strange. You see, there are all kinds of rumors, talk. People who claimed actually to have seen a huge hound, glowing as if it were on fire. Sir Charles took these rumors quite seriously. He never went out on the moor, not even in the daytime. That is why, with these stories floating about, I decided to...
Withhold certain facts?
Precisely.
What facts?
There were footprints near Sir Charles' body.
A man's or a woman's?
Neither. The footprints could only have been made by an enormous hound.
What? Oh, frankly, I find that rather difficult to believe.
Well, so would I, if I hadn't seen them.
Are you quite sure about the prints?
Positive.
And no one else saw them?
There was a sudden rain and washed them quite away.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You indicated that the matter was practical. In what way?
Well, Sir Charles had a younger brother who died after taking up ranching in Canada. He left behind a son, Henry. No, Sir Henry, for now he is heir to Baskerville Hall. As a matter of fact, he arrived from Canada on a boat train, Waterloo Station, in just over an hour.
Probably going to sell the old place off and sail back to Canada.
No, that's the problem. He's cabled. He actually wants to move into Baskerville Hall, I'm afraid.
Do you mean that you actually fear for Sir Henry's life if he goes to Baskerville Hall?
Surely. Member of our profession, you don't believe in evil apparitions, spectral beasts, a hound burning with Satan's sulphurous flames? No, surely don't believe that, Trottle.
I'm not certain what I believe anymore. Except as an executor, I feel some measure of responsibility for Sir Henry's safety and well-being. But if you don't feel the matter warrants your capacities...
Oh, not at all. I rather think it suits them admirably. But I shall know better when I speak directly to Sir Henry. Shall we say tomorrow, 10, at my flat?
Ah, thank you. You can expect us then. Gentlemen?
Really, Holmes, you don't seriously, I mean, devil's work, that sort of thing, what?
No, I suppose not. But I have encountered men whose deeds made the devil's employment quite unnecessary.
Yes, in that light, of course. One thing does puzzle me, Holmes.
Only one?
Yes. How did you know what Mortimer looked like?
I didn't.
Then how did you pick him out?
The walking stick? As you noticed, the tip was worn, but rather more on one side than the other, indicating its owner to be a man with a slight but perceptible limp. Another brandy, Watson.
Shouldn't, actually.
Oh, come on.
Oh, just as well. A limp. Quite obvious, actually.
Elementary, my dear Watson. How do you like London, Sir Henry?
It's too big for me. Trams, carriages, people crushing in on you. And no time for anything, no civility. Why, do you know, last night, I put a brand new pair of boots outside my hotel door to be polished. And now one of them's gone. Lost, stolen, flown off. No one knows or seems to care. Now, let me tell you, one thing I'm looking forward to at Baskerville Hall is plenty of open space and a little old-fashioned service.
Oh, then you're definitely going there to live.
The sooner the better. Oh, I know all this talk about a hound from hell. Now, timber wolves when you're tracking up by Hudson Bay. They're something to be scared of. But fairy tales and crank warning notes, no, sir. And I'll bet if I set my boots out at Baskerville Hall, one of them won't.
Excuse me, Sir Henry. You mentioned a warning note?
Yes, delivered to me at the hotel. As some sort of practical joke, I imagine.
May I see it?
Certainly.
Thank you. What do you make of it, Watson?
As you value your life or your reason, keep away from the moor.
I, for one, do not consider it a joke, practical or otherwise.
No, I would think not. Tell me, who knows that you're staying at the Northumberland Hotel?
Well, no one.
On the contrary, someone obviously knew. Someone fastidious, penurious, nervous, possibly distraught, literate, perhaps even cultured, and very likely a stranger to London. The paper is unwatermarked of the cheapest sort. The word moor, being uncommon, has been written in ink, but the individual letters themselves have been taken from the Times literary section. You see, Watson? The elongated serifs.
And that's all you can tell us about it?
Hmm? Oh. Well, I'm afraid even further facts would not tell us the motive behind this warning. Well, perhaps for the moment we should set aside further speculation until we meet later at your hotel, say, 2?
Good. That'll give me time to shop about a bit for some new clothes.
So perhaps I'll pay a visit to the Medical Fellows Society.
I'll leave with you, Doctor.
Mr. Holmes?
Till later, then, huh?
Goodbye.
Shouldn't we go along with Sir Henry?
Oh, I don't think so.
But he'll be alone. What if this warning note is serious?
We don't know that it is.
We don't know that it isn't either.
Exactly.
I say, Holmes, aren't you treating this all rather lightly?
Well, I don't think so.
I mean, not that I place any stock in this superstitious mumbo-jumbo, but as William Makepeace Thackeray so aptly put...
They crossed the square and separated. Come on, Watson. I suspected Sir Henry's being followed. Look, we'll circle round from the other street. Come on. Not that way. Come on. Back up the alley. Cut him off.
Oh, bad luck.
No, it was not bad luck, Watson. It was stupidity. My own stupidity. I should have realized he would have recognized me right away.
Well, at any rate, we frightened him off.
Or merely made him more cautious. No, it's no good fussing it over. We've lost him, and it's my fault.
Well, of course we can't all. I mean, if I'd thought to look at the number on the cab, for instance.
Oh, didn't you make a note of the number, Watson?
No, I'm afraid I didn't.
Well, then perhaps it's fortunate that I did.
Evening, sir.
Higgins, these gentlemen are inquiring about a fare you drove past Barking Square about an hour ago. Do you remember him?
Oh, I do indeed, sir. He gave me £3 to drive him wherever he said. Stops and starts, gallop this way and that.
And then off he ran without a word.
Then you could describe him.
Oh, I could indeed, sir. I could indeed. He had a beard and eyeglasses and a black hat and a black muffler.
But his features?
Oh, ordinary, I'd say. Just ordinary. But I do know his profession. Detective, he said he was. And he did mention his name, too. Specifically, should anyone come asking for it. It was,
Holmes?
That's it exactly. Holmes. Sherlock Holmes.
I mean, it's the cheek of the fella. The absolute cheek.
Perhaps, but that may be another part of his disguise. I believe that we are dealing with a clever and very dangerous adversary.
You scoundrel! What sort of game are you playing?
That's Sir Henry's
You
suite.
take me for a fool? Put that down!
Here, what's this?
Oh, nothing, sir. I found the gentleman's boot in the cobbler's hole and brought it back to him.
You bring one boot back. I know another's missing.
Oh, sir, I've looked everywhere.
Well, perhaps you better look again. And harder.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Well, to start to put on a pair of boots and then find one of them lost, stolen, strayed,
The boot
or...
is not important, Sir Henry. You'd best show Mr. Holmes the new warning note.
It isn't just the boot. You see how old they are. But it's the principle of the thing. I mean, if a man can't...
Excuse me, Sir Henry. The note that Dr. Mortimer mentioned?
It was, waiting under the door. Here.
Thank you. Evil awaits you at Baskerville Hall. Do not tempt fate. Yes, the pattern seems quite consistent. Do you have a copy of this morning's Times?
Yes. There.
Thank you. Uh-huh. The dramatic reviews this time. Have a pencil, Watson. You see? Evil, cruel, fate, etc. Yes, it seems quite consistent.
Then we can safely assume both notes were sent by the same person.
Perhaps.
Come in.
Was Henry Baskerville?
That's me. Thank you. Another warning?
No. This is Cartwright, an intelligent chap who's been of aid to me in the past. Why don't you open the wire, Sir Henry? I believe you'll find it's a reply from Barrymore, the manservant at Baskerville Hall.
All is in readiness for your arrival, Barrymore. I don't understand.
Well, when I informed Dr. Mortimer of our experiences this morning, he told me that of those living on or near Baskerville Estate, only Barrymore matched the description of the man who followed you. So I thought it wise to ascertain his whereabouts by sending him a wire that he would be obliged to answer. The wire and the reply were both personally receipted?
Yes, sir. It was stamped RBH. Received by Anne, sir.
Well, then that means that Barrymore could not have been in London this morning. I have another task for you.
Mr. Holmes, the wire seems to imply Sir Henry's going to Baskerville Hall. Well, he can't go there now. Certainly not without protection.
I quite agree. Here, Cartwright, is £5. Now, you will visit each hotel in the area of Charing Cross, and you will tip the outside porter to allow you to examine the waste paper that morning. You will say that some wire has been mislaid. But what you're really looking for is this page of this morning's Times, but with some holes cut out with a pair of scissors. You will then try and find out the name of the person from whose room this paper was taken. Then you will wire me the results of your investigation at the following address. You have a pad and pencil?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, care of Sir Henry Baskerville, Baskerville Hall, Grimpen, Devon. Do you have any questions? Then on your way.
Truly, Mr. Holmes, I don't understand. The address you gave seems to imply you expect Sir Henry to go to Baskerville Hall, and yet you agree with me that it's entirely too dangerous for him to go there.
Without protection. But with Sir Henry's permission, Watson and I shall provide that protection.
I accept, of course. If there's a goblin after me, Baskerville Hall's the place to find it out.
Well, then, I believe there is a morning train leaving Waterloo Station, which arrives at Grimpen tomorrow evening. Watson, will you see to the tickets?
Where be you to go, sirs?
Baskerville Hall.
Ah, you best stay to the main road, then. There's 3 desperate prisoners, one of them armed, what escaped from Princeton jail this day.
Is it the escaped prisoners, Constable?
Yes, sir. But the warden's got the last one cornered now.
Stop! Or we shall shoot!
Horrible. That's the lot. One killed, one drowned, and one poor devil gone to the bottom of Grimpen quicksand. Well, gentlemen, you're free to go on. But watch out. There's tales of an evil-looking hunchback seen crossing the moors of late.
Sir Henry?
I'm Sir Henry.
I'm Barrymore, sir. This is my wife. We have everything in readiness, just as you instructed, sir. This way, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Well, these are my ancestors, I suppose. Now, this vicious-looking one. Which one was he?
That's Sir Hugo Baskerville, sir. It was with him the curse began. Cream and sugar, sir?
No. Thank you. And gloomy. Inside and out. It's a pity Uncle Charles didn't do something with this place.
Well, he planned to.
In fact, Sir Charles intended to subdivide the whole estate, set up model farms.
Oh, yes. Scrounged up millions in South Africa. Something of a utopian, I believe.
Yes, he was going to restock the land and all that. Died before he could get quite started.
Pity.
Yes. Oh, Mr. Mortimer will be expecting me.
Dr. Mortimer has promised that before he returns to Grimpen, he'll show me the exact spot where Sir Charles's body was found.
Well, come along if it's all right.
Yes, of course. Watson?
No, I think I'll stay and settle in a bit.
Oh, all right.
Well, just the area?
Yes. Here. This is precisely where I found Sir Charles' body.
From what you told us, Dr. Mortimer, it's quite obvious that Sir Charles came here of his own volition. Why would a man who was mortally afraid of the moor come here? Why? The matted grass that you discovered on the knoll the next morning indicates that he stood there waiting until someone or something frightened him into desperate flight. But why? Why? There were no other heirs to the Baskerville estate apart from Sir Henry.
None. Sir Charles had only 2 brothers. The younger one, Roger, was apparently an altogether bad lot. Women, gambling. He fled his debts to Central America, where he died from yellow fever. There's no record of his having married or left progeny.
You're quite sure, Doctor, that both Sir Charles's footprints and those of the Hound came this way?
Quite certain.
But the pathway from the hall's back that way. There's nothing at all over here, is there?
No. Just the abandoned tin mine in Grimpen Mire and cottages the miners once used there, you see. It's the mine that's made Grimpen Mire so treacherous. Tunnel undermining the substructure.
You seem to be very knowledgeable about the geology here, Doctor.
Pure amateur. I turned up a few prehistoric bones. Ah, Miss Stapleton. Gentlemen, allow me to present Miss Beryl Stapleton. She and her brother live in that house just the other way.
Then we're neighbors.
Are we?
Beryl! Stapleton, I was about to introduce these gentlemen. This is the new heir to the hall, Sir Henry Baskerville.
How do you do?
And this gentleman is Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Indeed.
Stapleton here is our town scientist. Not merely an amateur like myself, the Royal Society has twice exhibited his specimen.
Well, look, since we're going to be neighbors, perhaps you'll come to lunch at the hall. That is you and Miss Stapleton. It is Miss Stapleton, isn't it? I'd hate to think that anyone as beautiful as you would be married.
Thank you. But I'm afraid I can't.
What my sister is saying is that you must come to our house for lunch. You gentlemen, too, of course. No, I can't. I've my office in town to tend to, and my wife. Mr. Holmes?
No, I think not, thank you. I have things to inspect at the Hall.
Then you are here to delve into the so-called curse of the Baskervilles. I guessed as much. But why a man of your gifts should interest himself in a superstitious myth, I can't imagine.
I see you do not believe in the story of a supernatural beast.
Certainly not. As a scientist and a former schoolmaster, I consider myself a confirmed rationalist.
Oh, come, Stapleton. Even you must admit there is something strange on the moor.
Nothing that cannot be explained rationally. Do you not agree, Mr. Holmes?
For the moment, I would like to leave a completely open mind, even at the risk of seeming credulous.
Be there a reply, sir?
Yes. Proceed as directed, signed Holmes. Thank you.
Ah, there. Cartwright?
Yes. As I suspected, he's turned up nothing yet. But you say you've discovered something unusual here?
Yeah, well, oddish, to say the least. Upstairs in a room off the attic.
Yeah?
I found it when I decided to poke about a bit. It's Sir Charles' favorite room. His sanctum sanctorum, as it were. There, see? Barrymore assures me that nothing in the room has been touched or in any way changed. As you can see, Sir Charles' newspaper is exactly as he left it.
Well, I confess I see nothing unusual.
Oh, really? Nothing, eh?
You must enlighten me, Watson.
See here? A burn mark that could only be made from hot ash. And here, the remnants of that ash. And yet Dr. Mortimer told us that at his own insistence, Sir Charles had forsworn smoking. Now then, was Mortimer being less than candid with us? Or was there perhaps someone else in this room? Perhaps even on the night of Sir Charles' death?
Neither, I should think. That burn was not made by tobacco coals. You know, there are distinct traces of hemp fibers, which indicates the burning of a thick piece of paper, the sort used in wills or legal documents.
Oh, perhaps a grate.
No, I think it would have been burnt in the immediate area of the carpet.
Useless, I'm afraid.
Well, perhaps not entirely. Now the litmus paper, Watson. Watson?
P.S. Please, as you are a gentleman, burn this message and be at Black Tor at 10 p.m. L.L. You were right, Holmes. Sir Charles was waiting for someone on the moor.
For L.L. The parish registry, Watson. Would you look for it over there?
James Lardner, Anne Lorimer, Matthew Lucas. No, nothing that could be L.L.
And yet there is an L.L. and one that Sir Charles knew. Study the record more carefully, Watson. Christian names, even peerage titles. Maybe something will disclose itself.
Yes, of course. Where are you off to, Holmes?
To the village, of course. There's still the paper. Maybe that will turn up something new.
Oh.
The said and supposed public easement shall henceforth...
Just a moment, sir.
The said and supposed public easement. Have you got that, Miss Franklin?
Yes, sir.
Now, the said and supposed public easement shall henceforth be the exclusive land, domain, and real property of the respondent Arthur Franklin. There. Do you have all that?
Yes, Mr. Franklin.
In triplicate, and by tomorrow at the latest, Miss Franklin.
Yes, Mr. Franklin.
And I mean to take it to the assizes with me tomorrow. The assizes, sir. I mean to set it flatly before them. And then we shall know who owns what. Tomorrow at the latest, Miss Franklin.
Yes, sir. Now, what may I do for you? Is something wrong?
Your name and the name of that gentleman... coincidence? Oh. Here.
Oh, Mr. Holmes. He's my father. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't tell you, because you could find out from anyone in the village. My father and I had a falling out over, well, a personal matter 4 years ago. I went to Liverpool where I studied stenography, and upon my return I opened up this shop here. Nothing, though, has changed in my relationship with my father. We still don't speak to each other. Formally, that is. However, since my father is addicted to lawsuits, and since I am the only typist in the village.
I see. Well, as a matter of further curiosity, do you happen to stock an embossed India hemp writing paper?
Why, yes. Here.
Uh-huh. Have you sold any of this recently?
This last week? No.
No, I mean the last few months.
Oh, yes. Yes, the vicar and Miss Dean, the librarian, and Mr. Fellows, the schoolmaster. Oh, and Sir Charles Baskerville kept a standing order before his death.
I see.
I'm afraid I haven't been of much help to you.
Not of a specific nature, Miss Franklin, but thank you.
I was just going into the village to try to catch you.
You turn up a name?
No. Well, there was a retired brigadier, Lyles Lawford, but the old boy was beyond 90. No, actually, this new wire came for you, marked urgent.
Mm-hmm. The Smith-Tyson case. I'm afraid I'll have to go back to London immediately. Just time to catch the train.
What? Look here. Well, I mean, we did promise Sir Henry our protection, and if we take off and...
Not we. You'll have to stay, Watson, and fulfill our pledge.
Yeah, look, your bag, Holmes.
Oh, thank you, Watson. I'll be back as soon as I can. In the meantime, Sir Henry, Watson is here to protect you. You are armed, Watson.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, I don't think there's any need for that.
No, I disagree. Until we know more, you must take no chances. Now, I would prefer if you did not go out alone. And you must promise me that under no circumstances are you to go out on the moor at night.
If you insist, I do.
All aboard, please, gentlemen. All aboard.
I'm counting on you, Watson.
Oh, quite.
Could be a ghost. They leave no footprints, I've heard.
Or it could be the very one that caused Sir Charles' death and has returned to threaten you.
I'm afraid I don't believe it. Beryl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sir Henry,
Good morning.
we were just going in for morning tea. Would you join us?
No. This time you must come to the hall for tea and lunch. And you too, Dr. Watson.
No, thank you. I think I'll just poke around a bit.
Be careful, Doctor.
Oh? Why?
There's something strange on the moor. I've sensed it.
But then my sister even believes in the ghostly hound of the Baskervilles. Don't you?
Yes, I do.
Sir?
I need no more.
Dr. Watson?
No, thank you.
Still, it's odd, don't you think?
About Miss Stapleton, you mean?
The brother always managed somehow never to let me alone with her for a minute.
Good Lord, what's that?
It's from Devil's Pond, sir.
firing cannon to race that drowned convict's body.
There's talk in the village he may have got away.
Oh, no, sir. Not from Devil's Pond.
Nasty business.
I understand he was a murderer. If he hadn't have drowned, they'd only have hung him.
Oh, yes, Selden, the fiend of Notting Hill Gate. I was referring to the infernal noise of these cannon. I'd just as soon not have my sleep ruined. Yes, footsteps. There he is. This way. Why, it disappeared. Where'd he go? Off to see Miss Stapleton again?
Yes. And no doubt her brother, too, unfortunately. Well, what do you think? Too bizarre? I give some of my old outfits to Barrymore. He seemed pleased enough to get them.
Oh, did you ask Barrymore about what happened last night?
Yes. Claims he didn't hear or see a thing.
Strange.
Yes. Well, cheerio.
Ah, yes. Here it is. To Mr. Barrymore from Sir Henry Baskerville, Northumberland Hotel, London. I delivered it myself.
And you gave the wire directly to Barrymore?
Well, same as. He was up in a loft cleaning, so I give it to his missus.
And she signed and gave the reply?
Yes, sir.
Then you didn't actually see Barrymore?
Careful, careful. That's how this happened to me.
Yes. I'm afraid. That is, well, I thought I heard something. Your pick, I suppose.
Yes, excavation, that's my hobby. You see Yorick over there? Now, he may prove to be of Piltdown origin. That's quite unsuspected in this region. As a matter of fact, I've petitioned the Royal Academy to list it as the John Llewellyn Mortimer Vertebratus Pleistocene.
Llewellyn? You're not Welsh?
On my mother's side. Look at him. Isn't he wonderful? I hope to find many more if they don't destroy the land with farms and irrigation ditches.
The sort of things that Charles planned, you mean, before he died?
Yes. There, you know, you gave me quite a fright. I thought you might be that mysterious man on the moor. The one everybody in the village is talking about. Some say he's a huge, shambling beast of a creature. Others say he's a hunchback with a child. They fear he's from the devil, come to lure their children into Grimpen Mire.
Yeah, of course you don't put any credence in any of that.
No, of course not. Still, There is something strange on the moor at night. I felt it. Haven't you?
Perhaps. Perhaps. What's all this? Explain yourself and quickly.
Who are you signaling to?
It's not intended as harm to anyone, sir. You're just taking food out for him, is all.
For whom?
The wife's nephew, sir. He didn't drown in Devil's Pond, you see.
Selden? The escaped murderer?
But he's not dangerous, sir. His mind broke. He's childlike, harmless as a babe. I swear it.
And once they stop searching for his body, sir, we mean to spirit him away to an asylum where he'll never...
Look, there it is again. You stay here. And don't try signaling again.
Put your lantern on that tree stump, Sir Henry. Now, come this way. We'll conceal ourselves before Selden arrives.
Selden!
Yes, if they take him, it'll be the same as hanging a dumb animal.
No, he's not our man. But I have the strangest feeling. Come on, nothing more we can do.
Stop, or I shall shoot. Do you realize that I can have you for trespass, breach of entry, and conspiracy?
Conspiracy? Of what's up? And with whom?
Mortimer, no doubt. He'd like to dig up my land in his mad passion for old bones. Conspiracy, sir. Oh, well. Let it pass. Let it pass. Seeing this is a red letter day for me. 3 cases accepted in 1 sitting of the Court of Queen's Bench. 3. As I mean to teach them in these parts that the law is the law, and that Arthur Franklin does not fear to invoke it.
Franklin? Oh, yes, of course. Your daughter is the public typist.
Daughter? She's no daughter to me, sir. She hasn't even the right to use the name Franklin. Not since she defied me and ran off to Liverpool to be married to some scoundrel whose name she won't even divulge. There should be some remedy at law. Well, your opinion, sir?
Hmm? Oh, well, yes, I suppose.
Oh, exactly, sir. You see, if I let you trespass today, tomorrow it may be that queer-looking stranger who's been skulking about over there.
Stranger? You saw him? Where did he go?
Over there, in the empty cottages. Mind you, stay clear of the creek. The water rights are mine, sir.
Watson?
Holmes.
Well, do you mean you've been here all the time?
Exactly.
Well, you should have told me. I mean, if I'd known.
If you had known, I could not have carried out my plans. I'm sorry, Watson, I had to deceive you, but now I'll tell you why. Only by seeming not to be here could I carefully observe Sir Henry's neighbors on the moor. So I pretended to leave for London while actually remaining. Cartwright. Young Cartwright here has provided me with linen and food, while also transmitting certain telegraphic inquiries from which I have gleaned considerable information. I suppose you know by now that Dr. Mortimer's middle name is Llewellyn?
Whom I very much suspect may be the same LL who lured Sir Charles to his death.
Possibly. But wouldn't it more likely stand for Laura Lyons, which is our Miss Franklin's actual and legal name? Yeah. I have learned some other interesting facts, but we can go into them when we have talked to Mrs. Lyons.
Yes, my name is Lyons. I was married, but only for a matter of days, and then I left him.
And yet you kept the name and the marriage secret.
No, only from my father. If he had found out the name of the man I married, he would have caused some scandal in court, especially as I planned to secure my divorce. Why, even Sir Charles helped me hire a barrister. And Dr. Mortimer knew of my plight.
Did not Stapleton also know of your plans? In fact, was it not your involvement with Stapleton that led you to seek a divorce?
No.
No, don't deny it. I have watched your secret meetings with Stapleton.
But there's no crime in planning to marry?
No, not if he himself were to secure a divorce from the woman he now passes off as his sister.
Oh, but that's not true. I don't believe it. Oh, you have no proof.
I do. Cartwright. Documents, clippings, pictures, wires of confirmation, all going to prove that Beryl Stapleton could not have been Stapleton's sister, but his wife. Now, those documents will show that her father was an English planter in British Honduras when Stapleton first married her. He fell into bankruptcy, went to England and changed his name. There he opened a school which quickly foundered. Again, he changed his name to avoid creditors and came to Devon under the name of George Stapleton.
But look here, Holmes, how...
You remember, Watson, that Stapleton told us he'd been a schoolmaster. Now, from that point, it was quite easy. Nothing in English society is so circumscribed and documented as the life of a schoolmaster. Now, are you quite convinced?
Yes.
Then you will admit that you are the LL who wrote to Sir Charles imploring him to meet you on the moor the night of his death?
Yes, but it was Mr. Stapleton who insisted that I write it. He even dictated it to me. He was sure Sir Charles would give me enough money so that I could secure my final divorce decree. And Sir Charles did give me the money I needed.
Then you did meet him on the moor that night?
No, there was no need for me to meet him that night. Because the same afternoon, someone brought me a sum of money from him.
Who?
Dr. Mortimer.
Well, I can explain that quite easily.
Pray do, then.
It wasn't Sir Charles' money that I gave to Miss Franklin. You can verify that easily enough. Sir Henry's in possession of all Sir Charles' papers and has a key to Sir Charles' private safe.
Oh, whose money was it, then?
Whose? Actually, my own.
You gave her the money? Why?
Well, I was aware of Miss Franklin's dilemma, and the fact is, if I had said it was mine, my wife might have, well, this is all rather embarrassing. I do have a patient waiting inside.
You mean your wife might have been jealous?
Not jealous, exactly.
John Llewellyn, what is that? Who are you talking to?
Nothing, dear, nothing.
Don't tell me nothing. If you have any notions of going off to swill drink with those two, then there'll be no lunch. And no dinner either. Do you hear me?
Sir Henry? Sir Henry! Barrymore!
Yes, sir?
Oh, Barrymore, have you seen Sir Henry?
No, sir, I haven't. Perhaps he's in one of the sitting rooms in the back. Shall I look, sir?
Yes, please do. Watson? Oh, Watson, I believe... Watson.
Huh? Oh.
You seem to be possessed.
Yes, this portrait of Sir Hugo. There's something... Of course. Motive, motive. There's your motive, Holmes. Well, don't you follow, Holmes? The scar on Mortimer's cheek, exactly in the same spot as this birthmark on the face of Sir Hugo. To cover his blood relationship and his real motive, Mortimer has had a telltale birthmark removed.
Of course. Of course, by heaven, Watson. You've hit on the precise clue that was, so to speak, staring us in the face all along. Yes. An emulsified resin base. Mm-hmm. I would think heated vapor of alcohol would be sufficient. A little bit. Whoa. Higher, Watson. A little higher. That's it. A little more, Watson. Come in. There. Look, Watson.
Stapleton. He altered the portrait to cover up his resemblance to Sir Hugo. And to think, only this morning I left Sir Henry with him as a...
But I don't know where Sir Henry is, sir.
I believe you do know, Mrs. Barrymore.
If you have any hope of saving your nephew Selden from the gallows, madam, you'll tell us what you know of Sir Henry, and quickly.
I overheard the master, but he swore me to tell no one. No one. He arranged to meet secretly with Miss Stapleton.
Where?
On the moor.
Sir Henry! Sir Henry! Sir Henry!
Sir Henry is dead.
No, Watson. Not Sir Henry.
Selden?
Mm-hmm. Although Sir Henry was the intended victim. Obviously, Barrymore must have given him Sir Henry's cast-off clothes. An unfortunate charity.
What is it? What happened?
There was an accident.
Sir Henry!
After we parted, I heard her crying. But I don't understand.
It's the escaped convict, Selden. Apparently, he survived Devil's Pond.
But what happened?
Now, when he knew that Watson and I were following him, he ran, and in his panic, he fell.
Then it wasn't the Hound of the Baskervilles.
No, Miss Stapleton. Like your brother, I totally discounted the supernatural stories of a hellish hound, but not the flesh and blood presence of a very dangerous criminal. Sir Henry, I'm quite satisfied now that with the death of this man, you have nothing further to fear. So Watson and I can return to the pressing business that awaits us in London.
Business?
Yes, the Smith-Tyson case, Watson. I'm quite sure I know who the culprit is, but we still have to prove it.
Oh, yes, of course.
But look here, Holmes. This poor devil couldn't have sent me the warning notes. Neither could he be the bearded fellow who followed me in London.
Now we come to his accomplice, Barrymore.
Barrymore? Look here. Oh.
Barrymore. Barrymore desperately wanted to prevent Sir Henry returning to Baskerville Hall so that he could carry out his plan to rescue Selden.
Yes, now I see.
When exactly do you plan to leave, Mr. Holmes?
First thing in the morning.
All right, next stop. All right, Devonshire. All right.
Excellent. I see that you brought Inspector Lestrade as I instructed. Inspector, I trust that Cartwright here has fully informed you of the events that have transpired.
Yes. My notion is to move in directly and arrest this villain who calls himself Stapleton.
No, we have not sufficient concrete evidence to support that. And now we must catch him in the precise act.
Yes, but how?
Well, we must count on trapping Stapleton. To that end, I have instructed Sir Henry to accept a dinner invitation at the Stapletons this night, and there to mention that he has taken down all the ancestral paintings at Baskerville Hall, and that he plans to clean and refurbish them. Then he will also say that he has to return immediately to Canada. At precisely 10 o'clock, he will take his leave and walk back across the moor. Give me Sir Henry's jacket and his scarf.
Holmes, you're not.
No. I'm all right. We've got to track it down. The Hound? No, I think it's been mortally wounded. But there's a still more dangerous beast to trap. Stapleton.
His footprints have stopped here.
It's just as I expected. Well, he's made his way across to the old mine. But, look. This is the old boot I lost in London. Not lost, Sir Henry. Obviously stolen by Stapleton. He needed something of yours to put the Hound on the scent. Something warm. That's why the new boot he took the first time would not suit his purposes. Look. That's the spoor of the Hound. It's obviously following its master. Stapleton! Stapleton!
Over here, Holmes!
There he is!
No, Lestrade. This is all quicksand. There's no way we can reach him.
Yes, there is. Look. You see that silvery moss? See? That only grows on felsite rock. We just have to follow its path. Come.
Have trained it. Then why did it turn on him?
On its death throes, it must have obviously been determined to take some prey down with it. A man can create evil, but he can never control it. Must be merely the wind, Watson.
Yes, of course. Merely the wind. It is oddly fitting that Stapleton, who was a Baskerville, forfeited his life to gain his inheritance and became himself the last victim of the Baskerville curse. Ah, that's better, don't you think?
All right. Oh, the fire, yes. Watson, come and hold this in place for me, will you? Here. Careful, careful.
Oh, something of a delicate nature.
Yes, you might say so, yeah.
Well, now that I've got you, so to speak, you did promise to clarify one or two things about the Baskerville case. Pity. Didn't seem to work, whatever it was. Well, about the Baskerville case, Holmes.
Well, I would have thought the various aspects of the case were quite self-evident.
Oh, quite. Still, there were one or two things. Stapleton's wife, for instance. I assume it was in order to hide his true identity as a Baskerville that he tried to pass her off as his sister, huh?
Well, partly, yes. The Bunsen flame. Well, not too close, not too close. Yes. But mostly, he was hoping to use her to lure Sir Charles into a vulnerable position. It was to Mrs. Stapleton's credit that she did not fall in with his plans, and so he was forced to involve and deceive Miss Franklin, or Mrs. Lyons, as the case was. Thank you.
And the warning note to Sir Henry here in London. Just another of Stapleton's schemes to throw us off, huh?
Not at all. The letters were quite genuine, although they were written by his wife. You see, she knew that Stapleton was planning to kill Sir Henry, and so she was doing her utmost to stop him going to Baskerville Hall. Will you pump that, please?
Oh, like you.
Yes.
Well, even though her own life stood in danger?
Oh, yes. I'm quite convinced that if it came to the point, Stapleton would not have hesitated to kill her, too.
Well, he certainly meant to kill Sir Henry.
And he would have, too. The Hound, which incidentally was hidden, locked up in the abandoned mine on Grimpen Moor, was trained to a point of utter viciousness. Now, I'm quite sure he'd have killed Sir Henry if he was given full rein.
Near thing, what?
I hope that answers all your questions.
What is that?
This? Well, this is something Lestrade asked me to look into. I was sure that it wasn't pure nitroglycerin, but naturally I had to make certain.
Oh, naturally.
Oh, there's some other samples over there. If you'd be interested...
No, pressing engagement. My club, you know.
Pity. Oh, by the way, would you drop this in the dustbin on your way out? Here.
What on it?
I'll keep the other samples until you come back this evening, huh?
Oh, I wouldn't want you to...
No, I insist.
Awfully decent of you. Most kind. Holmes, though admittedly a man of genius, did have a most bothersome sense of humor. Still, I knew that upon my return to 221B Baker Street, the new evidence that Lestrade had set before Holmes would promise yet another startling adventure.